Good afternoon, everyone. Go ahead and take a seat. Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the Russell County Board of Supervisors, March the 3rd, 2025 at 6 p.m. in the Russell County Boardroom. I'd like to start with a call of order and roll call. Andrew Hensley.
Here.
Luann Wallace.
Here.
Tara Dye.
Here.
Steve Breeding.
Here.
Rebecca Dye.
Here.
Nate Kaiser called. He is on his way. He's running a little late, but he will be here. And David Eaton.
Here.
Sir, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Lonzo. If everybody would stand for the invocation. And then the pledge.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, we come before you tonight thanking you so much for who you are. Lord, we praise you, and we come before you now asking for forgiveness where we fail you. And dear Lord, as we go about your business tonight, Lord, may everything we say and do be pleasing in your sight. Lord, we pray that you will bless this county, Lord, that we may fulfill your will. And God, we praise you in Jesus' holy name. Amen.
First, I'd like to say thank you for coming out tonight. Thank the good Lord for the pretty weather. I've heard through the news, which I don't know if you can bank on all that, but we're going to looks like get some cold weather, and then hopefully we'll start seeing some flowers bloom and all that. So we'll be grateful for that, I'm sure. We've had our fill of some pretty bad storms, and we're hoping everybody held up well through that. First, need to get an approval of the agenda.
Mr. Eaton, I have two changes to the agenda. First is on the presentation with Pierce Salmon, a request to be tabled. They had illness, so that'll be scheduled at a later date. Second thing is under the county administrator request is item number 7. We had a heat pump go out at the Russell County Library. Y'all have the quotes that's before you. I like that to be added as number 7 under the county administrator request.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve the agenda with adding those two items?
Second.
I have a motion by Steve, second by Miss Tara. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we'll go into the presentations. As county administrator has spoken, Paul is sick, pretty sick actually, and he couldn't be able to be here tonight. We'll say a prayer for him, and we'll schedule that at a different time. The next one's Brett Davis, Communities in Schools of Appalachia Highlands. I see you brought your crew with you.
Is it on? Or do I just need to adjust it? There we go. Okay, sorry about that. Good evening, Brett Davis with Communities in Schools of Appalachian Highlands. And again, thank you for your time. Here this evening, just to tell you a little bit about what Communities in Schools does. We're a nonprofit organization that works in partnership with local schools. Here in Russell County, we are in 3 of the high schools, right, in Russell County. And across the region in Southwest Virginia and Northeast Tennessee, we are in 76 schools, and we serve the mission to empower students to stay in school so they can achieve in life. And the way we do that is through the work of student support coordinators, and so that's a full-time position located within the walls of the school building, and they deliver support services in 3 ways. I think if you go maybe one more slide, there's a diagram of the tiered supports. One more, please. Yeah, and so Tier 1, we do school-wide support, which is around attendance. The best example I can give you with that is here we're getting ready to have a March Madness basketball tournament. We do a similar program that is around school attendance. Different homerooms compete against one another. and the homeroom with the, wins the most matches or has the best attendance over a several week period will be rewarded with a pizza party or some kind of incentive. It takes a different form in each school. Targeted programs, Tier 2, that's small group work. So during lunch, things like that, we work with students who may be dealing with an issue, a similar issue. Example there would be, kids are nervous about going into the cafeteria, so we'll let them come and hang out with our student support coordinator and talk to other students, just to kind of have a smaller setting. Tier 3 is where the bulk of our work is done. That's the one-on-one support provided by a student support coordinator. And they work with roughly 50 students in each school, and these students are identified as at risk. So they're the students that we want to support the most, make sure that their basic needs are met, make sure they have food security, things like that, so that what they can come to school and focus on is academics and not what they may be dealing with at home. So you can see there across the region, this is last year's figures. We were directly supporting about 3,000 students with that one-on-one support and providing whole school programming to over 20,000. And just a little bit about our growth. We began 10 years ago supporting schools in Bristol, Virginia. A couple years later, we grew into Tazewell County, where we serve every school there. And then here we are, like I mentioned before, serving now 76 schools across, I believe, 12 school divisions in the region. And I've attached quite a few photos that we can kind of breeze through. Those are Washington County. We do have some Russell County specific photos in here as well. But here today to discuss a project that we've been working on that is around structuring some programming to deliver specifically within those 3 tiers that I mentioned, predominantly to the case managed students or students that are identified as at risk. And we would be working on preventative programming that we can deliver to address substance use within the school setting. So how can we, many of the students that we identify at risk of dropping out of school are also at risk of substance abuse or have dealt with that in their life already. And so how can we deliver lessons around making positive choices within those sessions where we're working with them? And that's what we're working on through this program. And we want to link that to opioid abatement funding. And so we come tonight to request Russell County to provide communities and schools through this project, which is going to be headed by a fiscal agent, Washington County. We're requesting $6,000 a year for up to 5 years to serve as matching funds for the program, where we will apply for additional funds through the Opioid Abatement Authority and their cooperative partnership program. So I would happily answer any questions you all may have.
Does anybody from the board have any
Yep.
questions?
I have a few, you know me. Education is my background, and I was going to ask, because I saw in here the letter, 6,000 for 5 years, and then in your grant, I saw that you were needing 73,000, and then in your per cost model per student was 24,000. So you are just asking for 6,000 per year.
Yes, it's
Okay.
6,000 from Russell County, and those dollars would be matched and combined with the other funds to get us to that.
Will this continue in the high school, or are you going to branch out to the other schools?
Yeah, the focus of this is within the high schools that we're serving already, and we are looking at other forms of funding opportunities that we could explore to try to expand and serve elementary schools as well.
Well,
in the future.
how do you identify, it said 40 students, how do you identify those 40 students?
We have a needs assessment that we conduct, and that is in
Is
conjunction.
every child given that?
It's more about the school faculty is involved in just helping determine.
Referral from the
Yeah,
teacher?
exactly, yeah. So we work with the principals and the guidance counselors and the teachers and say, like, who are the students that you all can help us identify?
Okay. how are you going to sustain this if you don't continue getting opioid funds?
Yeah, good question. You know, we work to sustain all of our programming across the entire region through the public-private partnership. So here in Russell County, as an example, we are funded, we receive support from the Wellspring Foundation of Southwest Virginia.
So that's how you're doing it now,
Mhm.
current?
Correct.
So what do you do this year, this school year with Russell County kids?
It's the standard integrated student supports model that we're known for, communities and schools.
So what are you doing now? What do you do? 1, 2, or 3?
All three of them, yes. It would be another layer of each of those tiers, basically.
So this is just going to basically help fund you next year with what you're already doing?
Yeah, exactly. It'll help fund sustain what we're doing and allow us to do something that's entirely new. So it's the best of both worlds.
Rebecca, I might say that one zone I called Dr. Hooker and asked her about the program. She had high praise for it. So they did a lot of good things. I think they're able to pick up some of the children that kind of fall through the cracks otherwise, you know. And it's based primarily on references from the faculty, teachers and such.
Do you ever turn a student away?
Absolutely not.
Good answer. Coming from a teacher.
Mr. Lester, can you explain to the public, I mean, I know we've discussed it already on the board in the past, but anybody knew what the opioid funds that he speaks of, where it's from and how we got it?
Well, as far as Russell County's perspective, Russell County was the first ones that, when the legislation started coming down, or the civil suits that started coming down, Russell County was one of the few that actually stepped out on its own, and that was through Ben Chafin. He was Senator Chafin at the time. So we actually started civil suits against the opiate companies at that time. So one of the rewards from that is that we get payments from our suit and then the state suit. So what the opiate funds is for, it is for prevention, teaching, education, and training, treatment, direct treatment through, recovery systems, and then into the recovery, sustainability. So I call it PTR, prevention, treatment, recovery. So we're looking, Russell County has recovery houses. Actually, I'm going to use this word, y'all going to hate me, gold standard. So, and Andrew, he smiles every time I use this, but it's the truth. And our models are used in other counties. Now, the way that we do this, we have a 22-bed capacity male transition recovery system, and we have a 10 female that Ms. Dye sits on the recovery board with. And Mr. Breeding also is in recovery through the local churches. So we have a large network, and this gives the county an opportunity on the funds that we receive to be able to directly give them either into prevention programs, treatment programs, or recovery programs. And this is a prevention program. I hope that answered.
Thank you, Mr. Lester. Do we need a motion on this, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
I'll make a motion to give them the $6,000.
I'll make a second. I think it's wonderful. We were able to meet your teacher at Honaker High.
Oh, great.
When we toured, didn't we? And she was wonderful. The program is great. She really does a great job.
Yeah.
Thank you all for what you do.
Absolutely, yeah. It's Heather, right?
Okay, I have a motion by Andrew and
A second.
second by Tara. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you all so much.
Yeah, absolutely.
We appreciate it.
Thank you for your
Caroline.
time.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
your support.
Okay, next on the list, under presentation, we have Ron Jenkins with the Virginia Loggers Association Off-Road Logging Equipment.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, thank you so much. I am Ron Jenkins. I'm the Executive Director of the Virginia Loggers Association. Now, this is one of 3 forestry-focused trade associations. Our role in VLA is to primarily focus on logging and and the families. I don't know how much you know. I bet one person on the board, maybe more, know a lot about logging, but I will tell you what loggers are. They may not be exactly what you think. They're smaller, family-owned businesses, and there are no large conglomerate businesses that go from one state to another. And I consider them to be the backbone of the Virginia's third largest industry, but they're also the least able to withstand the winds of market changes. And I think I have some loggers here. May I ask them to stand so you can get an idea?
Absolutely.
Would everybody stand that's with the logging businesses? Okay. Thank you for being here, and thanks for allowing VLA to come and speak on your behalf. Thank you. And thank you all for allowing us to be here. Tonight we have a very important request. I think everything that I'll talk about is in your packet that we provided. And everything that I'm asking for is your authority that you have that's already been done to set the foundation in the state code, the state tax code. Basic request that we're here tonight for is to ask that you eliminate personal property, tools and machinery taxes on off-road logging equipment. This is essentially, it's anything that's used to harvest our trees where they're on the tract of land, to get them into a point where they're ready, they're loaded on a truck and going to the marketplace. So that does not include the trailers and the trucks that are necessary. That's not included in this list, but everything else is. And I could tell you that it is a request that is so much needed right now. For years, we have seen really a wavering market, low demand, markets. We've lost some of our markets. I think you all know we're right across the line in West Virginia, that we have lost a very large mill, and there are many others that are just not up to par anymore. When we did this in 2019 and 2020, we had a bill that was passed in the General Assembly, and I'd like to point out in your packet, there's a list of all the voters from the House of Delegates and the Virginia Senate, and some of your fine folks who have represented you all here in this county and neighboring counties. Everyone voted yay. In other words, they saw the reason for it, and we certainly appreciate that. But way I want to describe why you should do it came best as a surprise through a guy named James Jewett. Mr. Jewett, and his statement and testimony is in your packet. He is a member of the Madison County Board of Supervisors. When I first met him the first night, our loggers got together and we were trying to do the same thing we're doing tonight. Mr. Jewett had the most questions. And so, fortunately, he voted along with his board members, to vote to hold a public hearing. So that meant it had to be out for 30 days. And during that time, he actually went out to talk to loggers. He went and looked at the sites. And so then he came back on the next meeting and he said, this is the statement that he made. He was completely in agreement. Are they coming to get me? Good. That this was most needed. And the board unanimously voted to approve this request. I just want to glean from his statement what I think he really found in this field. He realized that he wanted to help the county.
Hang on just a minute. I think we need another mic. Yeah, let's swap those mics out. I think that battery's probably dying on you.
I didn't know if it was me.
No, hold on just a second, please. No, in all respect, we want to make sure that everybody can hear. Yeah, my pastor don't like it when his mic battery dies either.
All right, how's this? Is better?
Thank you.
I'll make sure I try to stay close to it. So he thought that this was an investment to the future generations. And the reason is, we're losing a little bit of money up front, But in the end, if those companies come back stronger and the markets get better, then revenues will pick up. So he looked at this as an investment. Number two, he wanted to keep professional loggers in the county. He didn't want to lose them because that meant that harvest, the landowners would be much happier, the forests would be healthier, and these are folks that you want to keep because when you are involved in the harvesting, it's a pretty complicated process to keep everything just perfect. He also wanted to eliminate the hardship. He obviously saw, Mr. Jewett saw the hardship that they were under now, trying to pay a very heavy personal property or tools and machinery tax. Their equipment is in the millions of dollars just to do their job. And what's happening is that when their production is cut or reduced, they can't even make their maximum production. So they can't get all of their investment back in a normal amount of time. It makes it much tougher. And then paying a tax bill at the end of the year or twice a year is pretty tough for them. It also he realized that loggers operate on a very narrow profit margin. So he is saying, look, I think this shot in the arm or this this bringing out, let me see what the word I use, lifeline, is a good thing because it will help them to maintain through this tough time and allow them hopefully to get back on top. Then when that happens, they'll be able to invest. They'll be able to get better equipment. That will mean they're more productive. They will also allow them to buy trucks, newer trucks, better made for the roads, more efficient for gas mileage. And those revenues will come back to the county. They will also be able to buy services and parts and labor and all those things that will ultimately come back to the county in higher revenues. And it will allow them to keep their workforce, to hire more people, and be a productive part of the economy in your county. And finally, I don't know that he thought about this, but I think when you're under stress fiscally, financially, it's hard to concentrate on all the details of doing a quality job or doing the best. I'm sure they do the best they can, but there's a lot more sometimes that someone who's not worried about the fiscal stress can actually do for quality. So the decision is totally yours in summary. This is a decision that I think you'll be making for future generations. It will help the county. It will help the folks in the future. It will be you'll have great forests. I know you have mostly hardwood forests, and you have wonderful products. And your landowners will be happy. You have the ability to give them a lifeline that could be a great investment for their future. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chick.
Well, I would like to say, I totally support our logging industry. I support the people that work hard every day and to be able to provide these kinds of opportunities. I think what we would need to do, I'll make a request, and it's up to the board to add this to our budget meetings, and we'll probably need to run the numbers on that, Mr. Lester, and see what we come out with on that, and then we'll probably have to have a public hearing.
Yes,
We're
sir.
going to have to
It's
have
required.
a public hearing, in regards to that, but I'm really grateful you came and spoke to us tonight. I was unaware of this. I know Andrew's indwelled in a lot of logging and stuff like that, and he has showed his passion toward, a lot of that and a lot of that industry, but we need all aspects of those industries to be able to operate more efficiently.
Yes, sir. I thank you for your kind words. You're exactly right on in my mind. And I think that Mr. Jewett saw that he had to also do the numbers. And they went ahead and voted for the public hearing. And if I may be so bold to maybe suggest it, we could still look at the numbers, but I'm just throwing it out there for your consideration. Certainly don't have to listen to me. But that is how they did it, and we went back that second time, and they voted for it. I will just, if I may, during this weekend, the President Trump, I saw a hat, I knew there was someone here that might like him, said he sent out 2 executive orders, and this was totally on the timber production in this country. One, he wants to increase timber production in this country. Number 2, he wants to have a look at what the import ratio is now, and how is the import of lumber from other companies actually affecting our own businesses and our security. So it is not just me speaking, it's not just Andrew speaking. This is for real, and we've known it for a long time. I think we have a president right now that actually recognizes it, and I think you do in your words, and I appreciate that, sir.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yes, you-
Mr. Jenkins,
Yes,
how
ma'am.
many loggers, do we have loggers in our county that are members of your association?
Let me ask them. That's a great question. I have a membership application here just in case. I did not pay you to do that. May I say, all right?
You can
wanna start
pay me and
enrollment.
I'll donate it.
If you're a member, please stand up. All right, Ray Sullivan. There you go. Both of those gentlemen are loggers. So yes, ma'am, we've grown, and thank you to Ray Sullivan and a lot of great people. By the way, we just got this completed in Scott County. You know your neighbor.
Yes,
okay.
sir, we saw that, yes.
Yes, ma'am. They're here, they're supportive, and we're going to try to become more involved with Southwest Virginia logging. It's a very important area.
Thank you so much. Anybody else?
No, I'm just gonna say, I'm very familiar with it. My father who's now deceased, did log our farm several years ago, so I understand what a
Yes, ma'am.
hardship and what hard work it is.
Yes, it
I
is.
stood at
Yeah.
a distance and watched. I would never want to do it. But I have two very good friends that I plan on leaving this evening and going home and questioning them hot and heavy on this.
Very good. And I'm always open as well. I think my phone is on a card, is in there. My contact information is there. More than happy to answer any of your questions or set up interviews for some of the local loggers for you.
Lonzo, will this require a resolution, or can we
We need-
just straight vote?
That, as far as the attorney would tell you, this is, you're adjusting the tax rate on the PNP and M&T, personal property, machine and tool. So you have to have a public hearing.
But
Can this coincide with our public hearing to set the budget or set
It will be part of it, yes.
or not set the budget, but set the tax
Tax
rate?
rate, yes, sir.
so you
So
don't
that-
really
that
need a
would be in
resolution
April.
on it.
No, it'll
It
go
just-
into the
just be a
final
vote,
resolution
okay.
of the tax rate,
So the tax rate public hearing will be in April, correct?
if everything stays on schedule, yes, sir.
Okay. So I think that answers Mr. Jenkins' question, that we'll have a public hearing in April where this can be discussed. And
Yes.
thank you for coming out tonight. And
Thank you for inviting me.
I've known Ray Sullivan for a long time, and he probably wishes he didn't know me sometimes, but
He's never said that. He always speaks highly of you, sir.
I appreciate Ray getting you to come out here today.
Well, we
I
appreciate
both
Ray.
of
We
you.
appreciate all of you. And, you know, this is a tough job. It's a lot of balancing act to try to serve all of your citizens. And it's always heartfelt to hear children, hear about kids that really need. And I wouldn't never equate it, but I can tell you that this industry, especially our logging workforce, needs a boost or a lifeline. And I hope that you'll see that that is something that you can say, this is an investment for our future generations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
And thanks to all the loggers that came out tonight. We appreciate it. Okay, next on the list is Tim Dunaway, Raven Construction.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I just want to speak a little bit about what we're proposing and how we got to where we're at this point in time. We're a developer from Knoxville.
Okay.
Dollar General is one of our main clients. We're also the GC. We're Raven Construction also. Dollar General wanted us to find a site in Dant, and we've looked, and there's not a lot of flat ground in Dant. The only area we found that was suitable or looked suitable and available seemed to be that fire department property. So we started this process back last spring sometime. My boss, Jason Brown, contacted the county and kind of started some conversations on the possibility. The building, as you know, it has a little bit of age on it and maybe some structural problems. I'm not real clear on all of it. I just know it's got some age on it. Anyway, we got a positive enough response from the county at that time to start doing a little bit of exploratory environmental testing and some preliminary, site layout just to see if our building would fit. We also got some borings done for a geotech report, just to see how much rock there is in that little holler right there, because it's there. But we got the environmental phase 1 testing and report, and then civil, like I say, civil layout was preliminarily begun. At some point during the summer, we kind of checked in and to inquire about the confirmation of the property being available. And we learned that it had been put on hold due to some public input they were waiting on and working with the community. So we, at that point, stopped. We kind of backed off where we were and put it on pause, just to wait till the county worked out their questions with the community and the public. And then this past January, we reconnected back with them and heard that the county was ready to move again. So we started and restarted our design and our due diligence process with testing and design and whatnot. To develop that site, the building would have to be obviously removed. We looked at possibly even using the building as it was, and it was not feasible. Our client, a lot of times will do that, but they couldn't in this case. So it's going to have to be removed for our project if it's approved and hauled off. We've also recently had it tested for asbestos just to see if there's any problem there, and we expect that there'll be some floor tile and some roof mastic that probably has to be abated, and there'll be some costs there. We don't have that formal report yet, but the field crew told me that they did suspect there'll be a couple of areas we'll have to abate. Quite a bit of site grading. There's a VDOT access road that was cut up the hill there to build the bridge. We'll probably have to reshape some of that area that's on the property. We'll have to install stormwater structures, pretty good sized retaining wall on 3 sides just to clear out enough elbow room to get a parking lot and a building on that spot. All the site development work, including that demo and abatement and excavation and walls and stormwater and paving, is going to be close to $400,000 to $450,000. That's before we even land the building on the property. So it's got a little bit of site development to look at. It's going to be a 10,640 square foot standard Dollar General prototype. It'll be masonry and metal architectural wall panels. We feel like the community will benefit from this. I mean, and the county, of course, there'll be a little bit of jobs there, a little bit of tax revenue, but just the convenience, that's what Dollar General is all about. They want to be where people got to drive less to get what they need. There's going to be groceries, clothing, the usual Dollar General household items there that I presume they'd have to go down to St. Paul, might be the nearest, or maybe farther, to find something similar. So that's why Dollar General wants to be there, and so we're investigating what it would take to get that to happen. As part of that property improvement and acquisition, if approved, we would also be making a contribution to the new building fund for the Dant Volunteer Fire Department. We talked to the county about that, and they encouraged that, and so we're going to participate. We're also trying to apply for development grant money that could help us out with improving that site and those site costs. And if we can get some of that grant money approved, that'll allow us to increase the amount of that donation to the fire hall. For what it's worth, if this is approved, we will have that store open in September. That's the way the Dollar General schedule goes. I got to go hard and fast if it goes once it gets green lighted. So we'll have everything lined up and it'll be open by September. And that's all I've got. If y'all have any questions for me, I'm here to answer as best I can.
Thank you, Tim. And we was able to meet with Tim, and I think it's going to be a good relationship there, being able to participate with the new fire department. We're going to be talking about that here just a little bit later on.
Okay.
But do we have anything that the board?
Yeah, so those core samples that were taken, that was for this. This was not for the road back last year that everybody had questions about that went wild on the internet.
As far as the core samples, there's both the road and of course, Tim Crew called me when they were up there, and we had a conversation about
Yeah, we didn't know if there was any kind of discussions about things going on, so we proceeded forward with what we thought we could do. And at some point, we were told to stop, and we sure
I
stopped.
told them to stop.
So this has been since like April-ish?
My boss does the real estate startups, Jason Brown, in my office, and I think it was April, May, somewhere in the spring before I got involved in the late summer with the
And we stopped
layout.
I spoke with Ross Carneal, I think you know him.
Yeah.
Today. And if this goes through, when would he be able to start? Because he had approached this property back last summer, and then that got deterred.
We put him on pause, just like we got put on pause. We were getting budgetary numbers together about that $400,000 I was talking about to see how big that was possibly gonna be. He gave me a preliminary budget number, and I got one other one from another excavator as well. And so if this thing goes forward, depending on when the property would transfer, I could probably start this thing second week of April. I'd need to, honestly, to get done by September, so that's all contingent on how quickly we could actually close the property if it's approved. Ross did go and do a good job of walking the property and get me some good feedback for my preliminary budget.
The donation you're talking about making toward the Dane Fire Department, a new building, what are we talking about there?
From what I understood from my boss, it was $15,000 and up, and of course, sitting with the county, they would like the up part, and I get
Yeah.
that, so we're heading that direction, and we're gonna try to get some of that grant money obtained, and if not, we'll obviously sit down and I'll let my bosses take over the money part and talk with the county again, but they'll go upwards from there. That was just a starting point that I
Well,
understood was discussed.
that'd be pretty quick, because, you know, we've got a community without a fire department now,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
the donation part would certainly be quick. I would imagine that property
Well,
closing. we
without a
would do that.
building, we don't have a fire department either. I mean,
But you're covered, through Castlewood and St.
mean-
Paul.
I would imagine
Technically-
that would happen at the property closing, at the transfer of the property, that donation would be made, but I'll confirm that.
How many acres is this property?
I got a survey here
1.3,
somewhere.
1.3 acres.
Well, you know,
1.33,
the
yeah.
the building has been in really bad shape for years and years and years. I can remember it 20 years ago, and it has cracks in it.
I can remember it when I was 6
It
or
was,
7.
if you look, the cracks are completely straight down, which is slope failure. You know, it's built on partially on solid, part on fill, and, if we, just the liability of tearing this building down, because it needs to be torn down. It's uninhabitable right now. I mean,
While we have you here, I appreciate the dollar store in Dickinsonville that we have on 58, but I'd really like to have one in Hansonville near my house.
We got any property? Because when I drove up here tonight, I've been to that corner. Where the Valero station is?
Valero's there.
I've been to half a dozen different properties there, trying to find one that we could fit on and that we could afford, but.
Give
yeah,
me a call, I'll
find me
take you to go
property.
meet some people.
Jason Brown, he's the guy that does our real estate.
Yeah.
If you got something.
I think
he's
me and
looking.
Tim had a discussion about the other localities in our districts that would be able to suffice a dollar store.
I get that a lot. I'm just gonna say,
Yeah.
it's obvious. There's, like I say, there's one in St. Paul.
I think I would get fussed at if I'd say, let the dollar store guy get by me without asking, so I
Yeah.
figured I better
And we do,
ask.
from time to time, we put one in front of them. Normally Dollar General, they've got a marketing department as big as the city, and they do their yearly lists, and all their demographics and traffic counts, and they give us a list of geographic coordinates, and we just try to get as close to those little pinpoints as we can. Sometimes we'll get one from somebody and bring it to them, and they'll go, oh, well, that does fit the puzzle, and we'll build one there, so.
Well, see, one of the things that you remember, the board has to remember, you inherited this. This building was given, 54, 57 years ago? Good gosh, I think it is. Of course, we went after a grant, as a CDS grant, I got for $423,000 through the feds, and that still has not been pulled by Elon yet, so, and it looks good to go, because it's infrastructure, so that's still proceeding. One of the things that you got to remember, if you look at we got vertical and horizontal crack structure, and not counting lead and asbestos, these are the floors, from the floor to the roof. So it got to the point that it's not repairable. And and it's owned by the Board of Supervisors. This is only fire department that the Board of Supervisors owns. The other 7 are owned by the fire departments. This is the only one that's that is under the Board of Supervisors. So we went after a grant to be able to put a new one in to be able to serve the Dane community. There will always be a fire department in Dane. There has to be, for response purposes. But you see what these pictures do, and the structure of the building, the vertical and horizontal lines, and the structure you can't fix it. It's just too much from the roof to the
Oh,
floor and the
I agree
substructure.
totally. We can't fix that.
You
But we
can't.
do need to get something else going.
Yeah,
Like, what's our timeline on that? Because that's a real concern to me.
it is. And one of the things, and you know, even at the first, when these first began, and I think, Ethan, you here? Is he, Ethan Taylor? Okay. We offered to even give it to them. We could have conveyed it to the fire department from the board of supervisors, because they were a nonprofit at the time. We could have conveyed it to them. We offered it to them. But like Mr., this is not question answer, thank you. But one of the things that Mr. Dunaway, if you caught his numbers on what it would take just for Cypress development, is $400,000. And by the time we take funds to be able to develop that, get it back down, put a building in, you're taking the money away from the building that we could do. So why put all your money in site development?
Yeah,
No
I-
disrespect, Tim, but I mean, it's going to cost you, but we don't have funds like that.
Well, we're
that
not
you would
Dollar
have.
General.
No.
But, back to my original question, obviously, we're not gonna use that site, and that's fine, that's neither here nor there, but we definitely do need a building, and so what's our timeline back to that, like, what's our timeline on that?
Well, as far as the timeline on it, as soon as Elon, President Trump releases this, we can start the design on it and start the appraisals, getting the construction and the plat, what we need down. And if General Dollar Store is, if we work out a deal with that, we'll add that to the product. It will be restricted only to this new fire department.
Thank you, Tim. Anybody else? Can I get a motion to move forward on this?
I'll sure offer a motion that we can discuss this or move forward or whatever we need to do to take care of this issue. We need to do something, so that doesn't make sense.
What kind of
The
motion are you
was
looking
terrible.
for here?
Just move forward. I'm not ready to. I'm waiting on the attorney to give me my guidance documents.
It's in your district. I'm just holding off for you.
Mr. Chair and members of the board, Virginia constitutional law requires that localities have 3/4 of the board vote to approve the disposition of public property, and this would be a disposition of public property. So you're gonna have to have a 3/4 vote to approve it. Then you also have to conduct a public hearing pursuant to 15.2-1800. So if you authorized it at this point, I guess your motion could be that you authorize the county administrator to begin negotiations on the disposition of the property in Dayton for this purpose. Once we get a price for the land or the terms of the conveyance together, it would come to a public hearing. Public would be able to weigh in, and then you all could approve the conveyance, which would be in the form of a deed transfer from the county of Russell to whoever the fee holder is gonna be, whoever's gonna be the landowner after us. If that makes sense. That's the process. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. So I'll make a motion, Mr. Chair, if you don't mind, to authorize the county administrator to move forward with the disposition of this property.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor?
Hold on, I want some
No
discussion on this
discussion,
thing.
okay.
Don't be rushing this thing. We have been sitting here on our hands for way too long on the Dayton Fire Department. I've made multiple requests that we have meetings set up to address the emergency plan, the requirements. We haven't yet done that. I'm getting frustrated with this. I'm getting frustrated with that. We haven't made any progress at all on Dayton Fire Hall. Now this building, I get it. This thing is a disaster, and it needs to go. And I think the Dayton Fire folks would agree with that. It's a problem. It's a liability. Okay, at the end of the day, but we haven't made any progress at all to try to remedy the situation. So that's my 2 cents. I don't have any issues with the motion to move forward with this, but I do not want to see us drag our feet 1 second longer on getting a property set up where we can move forward with this grant. I understand, you know, Elon's in there, but Trump and Elon, they're doing their thing, but he wasn't in there when this first started. And so we've drug our feet, and now we're stuck with a grant that's stuck in limbo. And God forbid we don't get that grant, because I don't know that we've got the money to build it without that grant. So we've drug our feet and put ourselves in a pickle here. We knew this building was going to be a problem to begin with, and we should have taken care of it before now. So that's my 2 cents.
I agree with that, Nate, and I mean, you and I got put on, I guess it was a committee or whatever, to meet with fire and rescue and that sort of thing. We still haven't had that meeting. We really need to get that set up, but the fire department is a big issue, you know? I know the citizens don't feel comfortable with it. The houses, if somebody, you know, burns down, whatever, it can spread through Dayton like crazy, you know that, Lou. I mean, it's just not good. We really need to get this going.
It's a safety.
It's worrying me.
It's a safety issue, and I understand that we're covering them with St. Paul and Castlewood, but that's not good enough on a community like Dayton, because Dayton is very close quarters on the houses, and that fire could spread. I mean, we've seen fires in other areas, Pigeon Forge, California, Myrtle Beach now. Believe me, trust me, I live down there. They're on fire all the time down there. You just don't hear about it. But when they're in close quarters like that, it makes it really dangerous, and we need to get this fire hall thing started. I know that's part and parcel of this, but I do want to stress that, because I know a lot of the community are frustrated, and I feel that frustration too, because you don't see anything happen, because nothing is happening. We got to change that. We've got to get this year. We need to get started on this.
Well, my recommendation.
Thank you, Mr. Kaiser. I appreciate that. We do, yes. But the topic at hand is to take care of where we are now and move forward.
Absolutely, but it's good to let the public know and make sure to reiterate that, you know, we can't save this property. You know, if we could, we would, but we can't. So, you know.
Well, my recommendation would be, at this point, is that, and I need to check, I guess, with our county attorney and Lonzo, that we go ahead and start the process, get the preliminary drawings, and then see if we can get reimbursed from the funding. And that way can we get reimbursed for that if that's part of it?
Now,
The preliminary drawings?
one of the things you got to remember on the CDS, that is on the fiscal year. It didn't even get awarded up on the October until October,
Okay.
so it ain't like
Okay.
we've been waiting a year. When Trump came in December, so October, November, December, everything went into a tailspin. Actually, we were in legislation when we got word, y'all were up there, you heard everything came to a standstill. If not only from the feds, the state, y'all seen the multiple agencies up there that were partially federal funded went into a tailspin while we were there that exact week. So right now, we've been conveyed from the legislators, both from the congressman and the senators, that this is moving forward on our part. So our next phase, it cannot be reimbursed, but I think that the design that we got, the conceptuals that we got, we can move forward to that within the county's budget, because this is such an urgent need.
Of what I was
Yes, thank you.
referring to.
I was trying to give it back up to where we was at, so, you know.
Yeah, you went around the
everybody-
left field on
Yeah.
it.
But you have identified a couple of pieces of property where this can be
Yes,
located.
we have. We got, and they're county owned.
So one thing I'll say off of that is communication is key to making sure we've got a community that understands what's going on. And I think we've failed our community by not letting them know where we're at, where things are moving. And it leaves a lot of speculation, and then there's all kinds of innuendo that happens, and Facebook is a dangerous place. You can get out there and get lost, and then you don't know what's going on. So we just need to do a better job, I think, as a board, making sure we, and Lonzo as well, we're all up here, so it's our responsibility to make sure we're keeping the community informed. But I feel like we have failed at that.
I said I'd like to be informed too.
Well, that's what goes for all of us. I mean, all of us, and the communication line needs to be from the administrator to us with developments, projects. If it's not under NDA, we need to know, and I'm talking to you, Mr. Chairman, as well. We need to know, we need to be communicating with the community on all these types of projects, whatever's going on. Because otherwise Facebook takes a hold of it.
Well, yeah,
I'll
ready to
call
vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
We'll get together.
Now, Tim, we'll get that moving along. No, I don't think at this time we won't need you.
I'll be
We'll,
getting with you, me and Will will.
Lonzo will be in touch with you. Okay, we have the Southwest Virginia Static Organization and the Cleveland Ballpark.
That is a tough act to follow. If you guys question me like that, I'll probably just leave. So. I have a simple. My name's Andrew Mays. I appreciate y'all hearing me out. I am the director of Southwest Virginia Static Organization. What we do is open up to all sports, youth sports. So we currently have 4 travel baseball teams that we organize. I guess my proposal to you all, and what's been proposed, and I was kind of late coming into the game of this, so bear with me, but the baseball field in Cleveland is currently severely underutilized. Needs some work, some maintenance, just normal stuff. I know it was impacted by the flood as well. Today was the first day I was able to get down there to actually see what had happened. So not a huge undertaking, but a lot of stuff caked on the fences. There's some places where logs had hit the fence, knocked it loose, those type of things. Our proposal is simply allow us to go in, maintain the property, maintain the field, get the field back up in using shape, something that the kids can use, the community can use, and the only thing that we ask of you all is if we can practice down there without paying the fee. And that practice, this question may come to me in a second, but that practice wouldn't be an everyday thing. One of our biggest issues right now is all of our kids also play Little League, but once Little League starts, all the other fields in the area are taken. So we have an indoor facility that we use that we just opened up. However, we have no outdoor space once Little League starts. And that starts today, actually. I got 3 kids practicing right now. But once that gets up and going, we have nowhere to go to practice outside. And that's just essentially our proposal to you. We'll maintain the field, get the infield back in usable shape. We can mow, trim, whatever we need to do, make sure trash stays out of the area. Something that we would also be proud of practicing there. And so that's all we ask of you all. If we could do that, and then you all waive the fee for us to practice there maybe 2 days a week, something of that nature.
Do you need a Little League field or regulation baseball?
A little bit of both. So some of our age groups from the age of 7 until 11 will play essentially Little League standard regulation.
Can you get that down in Cleveland?
We should
It was
be able
originally
to.
set up for a Little League field, I think.
Yeah, and I think it's been converted now to basically just softball, but we actually build portable mounds, and we can take those with us too, so we can adjust pitching. Yeah.
I think it's wonderful. I'm glad you all have taken interest in it and want to do that. David, you said something about maybe getting them some red clay or
well,
brick dust or
Yeah,
whatever.
we always try to help and assist in any way we can as far as brick dust or sand or anything like that, as far as helping with the conditioning of those fields since they're county owned. And if you guys are willing to help us with that and take up on the maintenance and stuff, the materials, I would recommend that the board continue to try to get those materials for all the fields.
Okay.
So you at least have something to work with.
Yeah, absolutely. And we would appreciate that because I know that infield is pretty much just grass now, so we'll have to
It's
go
our
in and
lease.
nail drag
We
and
can't
rake
mount it,
everything
but
out, spray
we're the
weed
lease
killer.
holder.
But we'll have to have something to go back in with it, so that would be, yeah, absolutely. If you guys are willing to provide that, we'll
You
put
just
it down for you.
have to let us know, what you're looking to have. I mean, I know Kobe calls me from anything from yard rakes to,
a Kobe thing.
As a Kobe thing.
But I will say, if you're wanting field maintenance done, that's a good person to put it in the hands of. I don't know if any of y'all have seen Honaker's Little League
It's
field.
nice.
Looks awesome,
But,
finally.
yeah, I mean, he's done
Finally.
an amazing job
He's
over
done
the
a
last
great
2
job.
years. So, yeah, but yeah, if you guys are willing, I think there was actually some material down there that maybe you guys had
We
put
do.
down there.
That is ours.
Yeah.
I got
and-
brick dust now.
Okay. And some of it may have gotten washed away, but either
It
way,
did.
we can get it back up to where it's usable by everybody.
Just to give the board an update, of course, Nate mentioned Facebook. The big episode over the weekend was what happened to the golf disc out there. Yeah, I'm going, okay, on the it was a 9-hole disc golf system, and out of the 9, all but 4 had been vandalized, and tore up. We Band-Aided them, put them back, welded them, stored them. And then when the last flood hit, I thought, oh my God, then the rest of them got damaged.
Right.
But one of the things that I've been doing, I've been talking to Tara, we're bringing the insurance in, or we're going to bring the community center back up and get it remodeled and redone and refixed back to better or newer. And we're also looking at the children's equipment to see what would be best fit for the community and the best wise of Russell County dollars.
Yeah.
So they're looking at that. We're also partnering with the Nature Conservancy. They're going to be redoing the shelter and the bathrooms on the town, so that will help you out too.
Okay.
We did lose our brand-new picnic tables. We're going to
Yeah.
chain them
We
down
got
next
those,
time.
what, in September? I
Yeah,
think
just
we-
brand
yeah.
new and stained and painted, and they were gorgeous, but they're gone. We got a picture of one, and it is down below in the trees,
Okay.
one of the picnic tables. But my point is, as you're developing, we be able to help, because I've got the Nature Conservancy in there. We're going to be working down there with it on the bathrooms and the shelters, and contractors. It's going to take a contractor to fix Cleveland Communities, because it had a lot of water damage. But
The rec center.
get with me, and we'll coordinate this,
Okay. Yeah.
and it is.
Thank you.
You actually need a great big net to keep those foul balls out of the river.
Well, I
I played a game there
We
one
go
time.
through the baseball, and I know there's a lot of proud history down there at that field. I mean, even still today, the sign hangs where they won Little League championships for like 10 years in a row. So it would just be nice to have that, not just for us, but for anybody that could utilize that. So
I think it'll be great for the community.
Yeah.
I'm sure you'll have a bunch of people down there watching and maybe wanting to join.
well,
Tara, do
that
you
would
want to
be
make a motion to waive the fee?
Yeah, I make that motion.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, we got multiple seconds. All in favor?
I need a discussion.
Okay,
I've been
discussion,
trying
I'm
to get in.
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Let's do it again, sorry.
That's okay. So, there's no insurance policy, there's no insurance on this. What do we do?
I have
insurance. That's who's going to fix this.
we are also covered.
For
Oh,
children?
there's,
Yeah.
oh, yes,
Yeah,
thank you,
so
thank you.
Our
Mr.
teams are
Rivera.
covered under a blanket insurance policy. Each team has their own coverage, so it covers us no matter where we go. We can practice inside. We can wherever we are, they're covered.
I appreciate your telling me that. Thank
Yes,
you
ma'am.
very much. Also, before we finish this, Mr. Chair, bear with me. Artie Lee Campground and Recreation Area is a nice little ball field. Take a look at it.
Where's that at?
Dang.
That's
Dang,
in
okay.
Dane.
Okay. I will.
So go up there and have a look at that.
I will. Absolutely. I appreciate it. Yeah, a lot of our
If you
kids.
got insurance, I've got a field for you.
Okay, well, thank you. Yeah, and I failed to mention, but the majority of our kids are from Russell County. So, there
That
are a
was
few
another
that come
question.
from
Thank you.
else. But
All right, Mr. Chair, I'm sorry.
No,
I interrupted
no,
you.
all those are great, great. And I
Really,
apologize for interrupting on the discussion. I was just so excited about this. I'm all about kids. I coached for years,
it's
so
a calling.
it is a calling. All in favor?
Ah.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you all.
Okay, we'll move into new business. We have the approval of the minutes. Consider approval of the minutes of the following meeting of the Russell County Board of Supervisors. I think this is unapproved minutes of February the 3rd, 2025.
Mr. Chair, make a motion, we approve these unapproved amendments for February 3rd, 2025, and also for February the 18th, 2025.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, approval of expenditures. Consider approval of expenditures presented for payment.
I'll make a motion that we approve the financial expenditures.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, we got 2 seconds. Discussion. Anybody have any discussion on paying the bills? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, moving along, we have committee appointments for board consideration. We have the Southwest Virginia Community Corrections, which is Doug Howard.
Yeah, this is one we skipped over last time. I talked to Doug Howard, and he wants off that board. He said he'd been on it long enough, and it was time for somebody new to get on the board. And I went and checked the list of the applicants, and the only person who had applied for that particular board is Greg Stutes. So I'll make a motion that we place Mr. Stutes on that board.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Okay, we have the next one in line here is the Community Planning Management Team, CPMT, Karen Clay.
I'll make the motion for Karen on that board.
Okay, thank you.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
She currently serves in that position. She represents Russell County Schools, and she comes with a wealth of knowledge because she takes care of all the school-age children that we provide services for.
Thank you, Ms. Dye. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we got constitutional officer reports and requests. I don't think there's any here, so we'll move on to the county attorney reports and requests.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Don't know if I got mic working just yet. Mr. Chair, members of the board, there's only a single item that I have. Last month, you had Jesse Robinson, had New Leaf Energy come forward and present on their shared solar project and proposal, which they talked at length with the board about. And reviewing the meeting from the last meeting, no action was taken on that item. And similar to the other solar project that's been proposed, I need some authority from the board to negotiate the siting agreement relative to that shared solar project. And so if it be the board's will, I would ask for your approval to enter into a siting agreement negotiation with New Leaf Energy.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
And Mr. Chair, just to follow up briefly on that, now that the vote's in to approve it, the plan there is to negotiate a siting agreement with them prior to July 1, because that's when the program opens with AEP to work on some of that shared solar initiatives. And so the hope would be that we get that one executed prior to July with New Leaf. That's the smaller of the two. It's a 4 megawatt proposal versus the other one, which is a 12 megawatt proposal. But I needed to get that moving, so thank you.
Thank you, sir. County Administrator reports and requests.
Thank you, Chairman. First on the county administrator reports is of course, the Russell County Road Reporting System. As you look into your packet, you've seen the ones that have came through. We have also put up, during emergency management, reporting on roads or houses, what we can do. So if you get an opportunity, you have a reporting, not just for your road for VDOT purposes, but if you need, the chairman of the board and the board of supervisors we're trying to work with community partners. We have a meeting this week with nonprofit organizations and churches, and to see if we can get other assistance other than what FEMA or the state of Virginia is offering. So we're looking at multiple partners to be able to help our citizens out beyond what FEMA or VDM is looking at. So if you get an opportunity, go. Second thing on the county administrator reports is, of course, the VDOT road report system. That's theirs. Of course, the VDOT right now doesn't have any requests for board action this month, But one of the things I wanted to point out, as you can see on the screen, is the maintenance activities that have been completed. Of course, we're still working through Hurricane Helene cleanup repairs. So we went from a hurricane to a snow and ice storm to a flood in 90 days. So it gets kind of mingled. Last week we had FEMA and VDM looking at 50 different sites at one time, and I had to recruit some of the sheriff deputies to be able to deport them out because they were going across 477 square miles and 50 different sites and crews. So we're tag teaming this as quick as we can, but it's hard to look at 3 events at one time and go which one are we working on. But we're moving through. Again, the hurricane, the snow removal, we're still cleaning up after it, and the flood response. So take a look at those notes. Next on the county administrator request is, of course, this is a Russell County Board of Supervisors letter of support to protect Virginia's hospital by supporting Medicaid direct system. This is a request by Congressman Morgan Griffith's office for the board on the support of protecting Virginia's Medicaid direct payment program, which is a critical initiative to ensure hospitals in our community continue delivering high-quality health care services to our residents. So I need a motion for approval of the protection of Virginia's hospitals by supporting for Medicaid directed payments.
Mr. Chair, I'll offer that motion to allow Mr. Lester to send this resolution, please, or this letter of support.
Thank
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Oh, go ahead. Do you have,
I didn't hear the second.
Tara?
I just didn't hear.
Oh, that's fine, honey. That's fine. No, you're fine. That's fine. All in favor? Any opposed?
Thank you, Chairman. Next on the county administrator request, of course, is the flood declaration. Of course, emergency management in Russell County to get on this fast on February the 14th within hours. I think it was an hour and 40 minutes, right, Bill? That we were already active. So, as when y'all seen on Facebook again, I'm going to use not to pick on, but at the Route 5871 intersection, when y'all seen the loaders down there working, we were activating the declaration to be able to give Russell County citizens support at that time, and that's when we went into motion. So I need approval for the Russell County 2025 February flood event declaration of emergency resolution.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a couple of seconds, Nate and Tara. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed?
Thank you, Chairman. Next on the county administrator request is another grant. This is the Community Development Block Grant. It kind of goes hand in hand with not just finishing up the Belfast Water Line project, but it also gives us a grant of $106,000 to install 2 generators on this project, that this will help during the time going down. We're also still going after the FEMA on other projects and working with Cumberland Plateau Planning District to get generators so we can keep the infrastructure flowing, whether it's a snowstorm, flood, or a hurricane. So, of course, this will help out. This is $106,000 for 2 generators on this project. I need approval to accept the $106,000.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Lester.
Thank you, Ms. Dye. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, have a second by Ms. Wallace. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, county's reassessment equalization board appointment.
Okay, hang on a second. I'm pulling that up. Landfill. As you can see on the screen, I'm asking for the county's reassessment equalization as far as the equalization, during this time, and then they know y'all have already appointed Barbara Parker and John Bieber. We have John Watson with VDOT and Walt Parker as alternatives, but tonight we're asking for Mike Bryant as one of the primary members to be appointed, and this will finish up the equalization board. Now, due to the floods and the storms and the snowstorms, we have been working with Pearson Assessment to extend the evaluations, and they're actually still working with the assessor's office and getting ready to go into the equalization board. The equalization board has already received their materials, they've looked it over, they're doing their training, so they're ready to go. But as more that citizens have brought their claims before the assessment, the county's assessment, the more that the equalization board will not have to do. There's been more resolved. So we're giving every citizen an opportunity, you know, to be able to justify their claim. We actually are still taking calls today to make scheduling. But I need a point for approval of Mike Bryant as the primary member to the Board of Equalization.
I'll make that motion, Mr. Chair, for Mike Bryant.
Okay, got a motion?
Second.
Got a second? Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Next on the county administrator request is Southwest Virginia Legal Aid Society. This is also an OAA opiate request grant that is a renewal. This is a grant through Project Pathfinder of Southwest Virginia Legal Aid that gives, helps individuals that are in need, trying to get back to work, get their license back or their assistance. So it gets them back as far as assisting them how to get their courts settled and their driver's license returned. So
I'll
this
make
is a
that
renewal.
motion because I work with this also, and this is just a refunding. It's a match that's been going on for years. And what this program does, it helps them get their driver's license back, helps them get full gainfully employed, and it helps them pay off all their fines. And it's helping our fellow citizens get back on their feet.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed?
Thank you, Mr. Dye. Thank you, Chairman. Next on the county administrator request is, of course, this is the American Red Cross Month. March of 2025 is. And of course, March is American Red Cross Month, a special time to recognize and thank our heroes who are volunteers, donate blood, life-saving courses, et cetera, within, you know, the county. And of course, right now, they're actually active right now in Dixon County, Russell County, and Buchanan County because of the flooding. So let's recognize All-American Cross as the month of March. I need a vote for approval for this proclamation.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, have a motion?
Second.
Okay, we've got a couple of seconds here. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, the one item we've added to the agenda, number 7, Russell County
Library.
Lebanon Library,
Yes,
heat
sir.
pump request.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Of course, the low bidder of the quotes based off the order, this was a need for the Russell County Library. I have an order for Stinson Heating and Cooling for $10,000. I needed approval.
Well, I'll give you a motion for to discuss this for the not generators, but the HVAC system.
I'll
Is
give you
that
a second
correct?
so Lou can discuss.
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, and now discussion.
So are we on, this is considered to be an emergency situation?
Yeah, the heat pump went out.
Yeah, okay. I just wanted to
That's
clarify
Nate.
that. All right.
Yes, this is not a regular maintenance approval.
Thank you. Just needed that information.
What line item does this come out on our taxes?
Capital, out of the building and grounds. That's the only place that, because y'all don't have it right now. You didn't, but no, this was not a budget item, so it'll have to come out. I need a motion.
Okay, we got a motion
Well, I
and a
found it
second. I just wanted to make sure we didn't have any further discussion. Nate?
I found it interesting that they quoted a 410A gas system, which that might not mean anything to anybody else besides me, but that is no longer in production as far as equipment goes. But I guess that's neither here nor there, but that probably is why they're the low bidder, because the one we have from Southwest Mechanical really doesn't have any information on it because they didn't print the right sheet for that. Evidently, you need to go in further. And the quote is pretty vague on both McNulty's and Stinson's as far as what exactly the unit is that they're installing. No model numbers, just pretty vague. Like I said, 410A will quit being used as of January 1st, but anything made last year can still be installed. So I'm guessing this is last year's unit, but it could potentially cause future repair work to this unit to be more costly since it's an obsolete gas for the unit.
Well, I'd say probably what they've done is the same thing we happen to have at our church, Nate. We had to have a new one, and they got one, it was a 24 model, and it saved us about $4,000. That's why they,
yeah.
but he did say he could still get it, but not Mr. Stinson, another gentleman. But I'd say that's probably what they've done.
I'd say you're right.
And see, my staff, as far as an HVC, they're also licensed too. So this is a recommendation by my staff. So,
Ready for a vote?
Any further discussion? All in favor? Any opposed?
Mr. Chairman, that concludes county administrator reports and requests.
Okay, before we get into citizens' comment period, I just want to let the board know and the public know that I've been trying to do my best to communicate with everybody. I've been sending out a lot of information and things that I have privy to. I want y'all to know you can contact me at any time, daylight or dark. I don't want y'all to feel concerned that things are not being communicated in that regard. I mean, I've done my best trying to get out as much information I can to y'all to let you know and keep you updated. So I don't want y'all to know that, and I want citizens to know that also, that it wasn't for the lack of me not sending out as much as I could that I'm legally allowed to send out. But from the citizens' comment period, Ron Jenkins.
He's already spoke. He just signed it, yeah.
Speak. Okay, Wanda Burke. Welcome, Wanda.
Hey, mine is just a simple thing. Just wanted to let y'all know we have Mark Merrow coming back into the schools this year. September 24th and 25th, he will be in all the Russell County schools, the high schools. He will be at the Lebanon Middle School that day on the 25th also. We will be doing the community night at the middle school again, and that, of course, that's open for anybody. We are going to be in contact with Senator Pillion because he said he would help us with a lot of the donation towards bringing him in. But if we aren't quite sure where he's going to be at as far as dollar amount. So if we need anything extra, we may be in contact for the opioid money for maybe a little bit of it. But we would appreciate y'all letting this out and letting everybody know that he's coming, because it really, if you haven't attended, please come hear him, because he is well worth your time and your effort to come, because he really is good to come listen to.
Was it the 24th?
September 24th and the 25th.
Wanda, you please let us know what you find out on the financial side of that.
I sure will.
Okay.
I sure will, yeah.
And we
because-
appreciate y'all doing this again. My kid was impacted really greatly.
Well, I know the last time that he was here, we do know that there was at least 3 that I know he had to contact the superintendent about, because there was at least 3 that contacted him that had been contemplating suicide, and that's Russell County, and they reached out to him, and because of what they heard that day, that's huge, and if we reach 1, that's well worth it. So we encourage anybody to come that night, especially community night. They'll hear him during the day, but man, bring your kids community night and hear him again if you need to. And he will stay after each presentation. He talks to every kid that lines up to talk to him. And if they come online and they talk to him, trust me, He responds to every kid that reaches out to him. So,
Well, for the community night, get with me sometime. I mean, I would like to eventually look toward maybe having some sort of concert prior to him speaking,
oh yeah.
you know, but anything.
We've got
we
a girl that comes from our church that comes up and does signing with some music and stuff.
Yeah.
And so we try to get, we try to do as much as we can to get people
Oh,
involved.
the kids
but-
would love it. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
if you could get somebody in here to have a concert and then him speak in regards to that, whatever.
Yep.
I mean, we
Yeah,
appreciate
it's
what
it.
just-
time is community night, Wanda?
Community night usually starts at 7. Yep. So,
Something in regards to community night is the first time that he was here, how old would Luca been? 5, maybe 6, and he loved it. So if your kids, and he gathered and even talks today about stuff that Mark Marrow said. I don't know what he really realizes that Mark Marrow said it, but show me your friends and I'll show you your future. He still says that.
yes.
So even if you think your kids are small, they might not gather the whole story of what Mark Marrow has to say that night, but they will take away from
Yeah.
that. So bring all age groups of
Oh, yeah.
children to that
Oh, yeah.
night.
Yep. Yep.
Thank
So,
you.
Just wanted to let you know.
Thank you. Okay, next up's Mark Matney.
All the praise and glory to our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. I sent a FOIA request to Washington County wanting to know what their reserves were, the rainy day fund or whatever. They immediately sent it back to me. They got roughly $35 million. I sent one to Mr. Lester, who forwarded it to the treasurer, who sent me some information, but she didn't know what the rainy day fund and or reserves meant. She sent me, I couldn't make out which was actually being used, which accounts were being used for your budget and which was for savings. Then she told me I should have sent that to Mr. Lester. Well, that's who I sent it to begin with. And so I'll be sending him another FOIA request tomorrow. I'd just like to know what the county's reserves are, what you got in your savings account before the thing. And I'll be FOIAing your required 58.1-3321 requires the commissioner and the county administrator publish the tax rate that calculated that doesn't raise people's taxes. And that's required by state law. So I'd like to get that out there on Facebook before that. You talked about Facebook, Nate. The best way to defeat Facebook is transparency. If they know what's going on, then, well, that's what Trump's doing. He puts it on TV now, you noticed. Transparency defeats the rumor mill. Mr. Alonzo, I'd like to say one thing about tonight. Donald Trump wasn't president in December. He didn't take the oath until January the 20th. And I know that y'all are trying to do your best and everything, but you got to let the public know what's going on. And about the Dent Fire Department, the only thing I'd say to you is hopefully this never happens in the county again, but next time you might want to build the fire hall before you put public safety in danger, before you just shut down the fire department. Maybe if you'd have built the fire hall, you wouldn't have had all this trouble. Then you could have gave it to the Dollar General after you had built the fire hall. Thank you.
Okay, we'll pass over Tim. He's already spoke. Jared Ring.
Evening, y'all. Going to talk about true salmon, but first I'd like to echo how I too would like to see Daint restored quickly. I have had my neighbor across the way's house burned down twice and went through 2 natural disasters in my asbestos death trap without a fire department in my district, so would love to see it come back soon. Getting a little nervous up there on my little hill, but on a related note, the money we have to build the road for true salmon, I would feel a lot better about giving that to them, especially in light of the natural disasters that have no doubt damaged our infrastructure all over the place. If we had some guarantee that that wouldn't just end up being a road to nowhere, because that's been in development for over a decade now, and I'm all for incentivizing businesses coming into the county, but that's money that we could put to use elsewhere, and even though it's free money from the abatement or whatever you want to call it, that is money that if we needed for something else, we would have to source elsewhere to repair infrastructure elsewhere in the county. So I would feel better if there was some guarantee that place and those jobs would actually materialize before we gave them that amount of money, because we're not exactly flush here in Russell County, as I'm sure y'all have seen in the budget hearings. But I'm not necessarily against that project. I would just like to express concern with building a road and wasting that money in case it doesn't materialize. So if there's some way we could set a threshold at which they give it to them, like the building's actually up and y'all need to start trucking in the fish and the water, whatever, I'd love to see it, but I would just feel a lot better if that had some mechanism in there that we don't just lose that money. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jared. Okay, R.D. Sneed. Thank you, R.D. Okay, Jennifer Chumley.
Good evening, guys. So, as you so kindly
I knew you were
said,
saying that there. You were ready and loaded.
that's right. So, as I discovered on a warm, pretty spring day, that our disc golf course is missing in Cleveland. Not only the disc golf course, but the signs. So I get it, and I think one supervisor actually told me one time, and I won't name any names, that if it gets broke, we fix it. That's how we get people to do things. We have cameras there. We can see if there's any type of vandalism going on, and I think that should be taken care of, because that does happen there. But I would like to see the disc golf back. It's the only one in the county. A lot of people do use it. We all have our putters and drivers in different parts of the disc golf. We've all tried it. May not get used as much as some others around the state. But it does have a high rating, pretty good rating. And it's like 129th out of over 200 in the state of Virginia. It's not the best disc golf course, but it's ours, and we feel partial to it. So we would like to see it back. I mean, whatever it takes, it's simple baskets. And I think that we can upgrade. And the Health Coalition, I don't want to speak out of turn, but they may help us with that. So that's all I got to say.
Thank you. Well, we know that, Jennifer, y'all been devastated down there in that area. I mean, I think our board, I think I might have made that comment to you before that, you know, if it's broke, we'll fix it. And we had no ideal that we were going to hit with this. I mean, you know, most of all the areas that adjoined any creek or river got absolutely devastated, you know. So, yeah, I would like to see us be able to help you guys down there in that area and be able to get that put back into effect and stuff. I know JJ reached out to a guy that said he's going to volunteer all his time and services to help you all.
Yeah, and we appreciate JJ helping with what he did with all the generators for, of course, emergency management, and for...
Well, it takes all of us.
It does.
It takes all of us.
And definitely for helping us get the playground back in order and the campground, because that is beneficial to Cleveland being able to make our money for this season.
I agree, and we need to work as quick as we can to help you.
Thank you.
And anything I can do on that regard, you let me know.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Can I speak, Mr. Chair?
Yes?
Is, this disc golf course?
If I said no,
that's-
he'd go ahead and do it anyway.
That's damaged. Is that anything that the vocational school could help us with welding that back together? Or, I don't know the extent of the damage, but
Well, here's the thing with the 9-hole. We put them in, and each little disc golf is about $1,200 to $1,500 system. And just if you buy it, we tried to buy a good decent one and put it in. And I've had the shirt back here. The teenagers have their time and joy, and they did a lot of vandalism to them. Of the 9-hole, and Bill knows, we did go talk to their parents, and we sent detectives down there. But out of the 9, we only had like 3 or 4 left after the flood, and it is used. It's not as used as the little kids' equipment is. That was some of the things that we were looking at, what would be the best. But the Health Coalition would step in and help. That would be a great asset. But, I guess it'd be up to, the community to see, what is the best utilization of taxpayers' dollars or insurance money. So, that's.
Andrew, I haven't seen one of these things. I don't think there's any question David Gilmer's could probably build one.
Oh, I'm sorry.
these
you can't
kids
build
are
them.
impressive, and I just
No, you
thought,
can't build
if it's not
You would-
broken all to pieces, they can probably weld it back together.
Oh,
No,
well,
they're broken.
Yeah, but he could probably build one from scratch.
That's what I was thinking,
After you
Steve.
look at some of the stuff those kids do up there, there's no question in my mind. I don't know if
I
he's
don't know if
teaching an
that's-
art class
I don't know if
or
that's
welding.
something, we might be creating a job for him here tonight, but if that's something the school could help out with, I think that would be something the kids could see the fruits of their labor right within their community.
Well, and it's
I
true.
agree.
Now, from a financial perspective, angle iron, just to replace what we had done, costs more than the unit buying the whole unit. So, and that includes us welding.
I
and
was
brazing.
hoping that the school would pay for it.
Okay. So you didn't tell me that part.
Well, I do know this. From the Cumberland Plateau's perspective, we have really been looking at ways, and I've been working with Tara, communicating with Tara on things that we can bring in down there to get done. And I know Cleveland's getting ready to get some funding for some other things there in the area and the community to help enhance and not only just in Cleveland, but it's throughout all the districts that we're looking to make sure we support and everything. I mean, we might end up having to build flood barriers the way it looks. I don't know, but that was an unbelievable storm, I will tell you. Okay, that's the last I have on citizens' comment period. Does anybody else have anything they want to say? I want to make sure I give everybody an opportunity if you got anything you want to say or speak before the board. Come on up, honey.
Good afternoon. My name is Gloria Killen, and I have spoke to some of the neighbors. We live on Green Valley Road, Morgan's Lane. That road is impassable now. I've got a new car, and it drug as I went in this afternoon. I know that it's a private road, but I wanted to see what we could do about getting it repaired, whether the state takes it over or the county takes it over. We've got just about every family that lives up there, and there's 10 plus families. They are on a fixed income, including my husband and myself. The road is about a mile long, maybe a little longer, maybe not that long. But we live at the very end, at the cul-de-sac. And there are 3 or 4 families that lives on above Morgan's Lane that has to travel that road to get to their residence. And I'm trying to find out for all my neighbors what we can do, what we need to do to get our road repaired, because there's a couple of the places at the top of the rise that is so big, I could probably lay down in it and you still wouldn't see me. So it's in bad repair.
Did you see, after the massive flooding and the rain, did it wash out and do a lot more damage?
After the snow too. After the snow, the pavement is just crumbling. It's just absolutely crumbling.
So,
And
Mr.
we
Eaton,
have a lot of traffic on that road.
Go ahead, Mr. Kaiser.
so, Ms. Killen, is Killen?
Killing.
I spoke with Scott Lilly,
Yes,
who lives
he's
up
one
above
of our
you.
neighbors,
Yeah.
lives on.
About this project. And we actually put it over to VDOT. We've actually already done a little bit of legwork on this to figure out what could be done. Unfortunately, VDOT come back with a study on it, and but it was only about 500 feet. The first 500 feet of Morgan's Lane is low enough grade to be able to pave, and VDOT will not accept anything over, what is it, 16% grade or 16? And the two main hills on that road are 20 and 24% grade. They will not take that road over. So there's not a great answer for you, unfortunately. The county does not have roads, so there's nothing that we can do as technically as far as the county goes to have it paved or anything like that.
What about, I hate to interrupt
No problem.
you, but what about, is it the rural rustic settlement or division or something like that you can go through?
I think
That would still only cover that first 500.
first 500 feet, yeah.
Yeah.
So we could get that done, but I think the estimate was like $85,000 for 500 feet of road. It was pretty crazy.
Here is VDOT's, ma'am, here's VDOT's.
Yeah, right there.
I
That's
think-
it.
Did you go talk to VDOT? Was you the one that talked to VDOT engineer?
I did. I talked to them this past week.
Did you? Yeah, they said that you had showed up and talked to them, but Mr. Kaiser, he had been working on it. He got right on it when it was reported, and we had to do an evaluation. But whether you fund it or not, VDOT won't call past. I think it's 518 linear feet.
And
That's
that
their-
is the lowest. I mean,
Yeah.
when you go in, you go down, and then you go up. And I don't know who put the road in to begin with. We've been there since 2012, and it's never been repaired. We just don't have the funds.
Mr.
Like I
Lester.
said, we're all on,
As you know, it's expensive to pave
It
anything,
is, it
so
is.
that's the dilemma.
and especially since taxes are going up.
Mi-
You
Miss-
know, I'm looking at that too. We pay taxes just like
Sure,
everyone else.
sure.
Well, that's one thing, you know, I have a lot of issues with roads in my district, as you very well know, Mr. Lester. We've got several, even the one I live on, we've got several houses and we maintain it. And it's rough because we're the youngest people on my road, so, you know, not everybody can do, but I'm thinking about Glade Hill, especially with, 39 houses, I think? And their road is just, it's horrible. You know, and me and Mr. Lester had talked about a few things. Now, you're from VDOT, like, you spend a lot of time there. If you
That's good or bad.
if you were to just to drop everything and say, okay, this is what I would do. I can make this happen. How would you handle it? How, you know, just your opinion.
Oh, I don't want to put the board on the spot here tonight.
Hey, put us on the spot because here's the
Do what?
thing.
Standing in line
Yeah.
for my community.
Because-
So once you start,
Mhm.
you open this can.
Oh, absolutely. Well, here's the thing. This is just my opinion. Our citizens pay taxes. We have our median age, I think I looked up, is 47. So that means a lot of people don't have kids in school. So your taxes are going to things, and it's not that we don't want kids in school, I'm not saying that, but you're getting all these things for tax money. But what does every citizen use? They use trash and they use roads. That's right now in your life. What do you use? Trash and roads, right?
do you feel that you get for what you pay? I mean, it's a lot of money per bag of trash, right? And then a road that you can't even drive on. So I really think in order to do our citizens a service, to take care, because that's the reason we're here, is to care for these people. What can we do for this?
Well, as Mr. Hensley, he got to be 1/3 of the board
Oh,
member.
and one quick thing, I'm not saying pave.
Right.
I'm not saying, Taj Mahal type stuff, 4 lanes, whatever. I'm saying that like yours, maybe just gravel it, maybe work it twice a year, whatever. But what can we do, Lonzo? It's your turn. Have at it. Hey, you're welcome.
Okay. Well, as Mr. Hensley, and when I came to Russell County, there's 110 miles of unpaved road in Russell County. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe with the cold severance that y'all had that during one part of the time in the county, and none of the board members that are no longer here. They're going on and different things, or retired or gone. But there's 110 miles of unpaved road. Now, Mr. Hensley, what we will tell you is what we pull off of coal severance tax right now, we have no active mines in the county. So what we get is off of gas and mineral, what comes in. That's very little to none. It's less than $100,000 a year, give or take. But the only solution, and I'm going to throw this out there and then I'm going to run, is you only have 2 solutions. You don't have enough money to build them. That we know that. We don't have enough money to build, and Mr. Hensley will tell you, we were just told under the new inflated prices what it costs to build per mile. There ain't enough tax dollars in all the, I don't know if I could pull up Buchanan County and Tazewell, we get 110 miles paid. But, not to be facetious, but we can leave it as is and let the property owners, take care of their section of the road, start HOAs, or maybe the county can look at maybe in the spring and fall, like Ms. Dye had said, if we've got a motor grader, but it's on its last leg and a Band-Aid, and it ran during the old time. Just to go into it, Mr. Kaiser said we don't have county roads, and we don't. And what the misperception is they started the motor grader program on the roads, and they would do it in the spring and fall and put down gravel. Well, they just got an easement is all they did. They didn't actually take possession of the land. They just got an easement and a waiver as they come through, and they motor graded it down and then tailgated, the aggregate and shaped it up for the roads. So they did it twice a year. Well, that's the way the program began, and then it ballooned, and it was doing too many roads, and it was doing it 4 times a year. And Miss Dye will tell you that, and she wasn't on the board at that time, but she's got a lot of the history in her roads and area. But you only have 2 solutions. You can do nothing, or there ain't enough money in rural rustic. There's not enough money in coal severance, and you can look at maybe during the budget, if you want to look at that, we could, look at it. So now I'm leaving. So.
No, I mean, that's just being honest. I mean, we've all looked at it. It's a dire need.
Well, how much is a motor grader?
A motor grader is, a new one is $500,000. Now, on Gov Deals, I can get, we can go in and we look at equipment all the time like we do with our disposal and our trash, and we're very good at this. And, of course, we can buy from VDOT. We can also go out to VDOT and actually grab one at state, because we have that under the Code of Virginia. So if we wanted one, you could probably buy a really low-hour VDOT one for about, say, $175, $200.
Okay, another quick question. With a motor grader, would it not help us in times like, I don't know, crazy hurricanes that come through, or flooding, or things like that? Is there some way we can get grant funding to do something like that?
Well,
because we are rural and we're whatever other things that they want to tack onto us to say that we don't have anything.
We can look into the grant funding, and they do come in handy. Even the one I've got that we've got Band-Aided, we do use it to try to open up some emergency, and we do a little bit of blading here on pieces of our property that we know that we can do. So,
and
that's
if we did
the
this,
board
you
wants to
think
look at it.
2 times a year would be feasible, obviously, but we would need to make I guess, I don't know how you would do it, but, you know, no more than 2 times a year, and we'd have to set parameters, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yes, and one of the things that you gotta be aware of too, the board does, riding these 110 miles of road, and Mr. Hensley will tell you, he's out there, you know, quite a bit now, and, they've lost their base, so it's gonna take a while to get your base built up, so you're gonna have a little bit more in the aggregate and rework, but once you get them, if you start maintaining it, then you can maintain them as long as but to get it up and get it based, it would take a little bit more capital in aggregate.
So
and-
upfront cost, but then once we get it going, it'll help, it'll be a lower cost, but more importantly, it'll help our citizens.
Yes, but, you know, a lot of counties do it, so, but a lot of counties don't have, you know, the miles, and we no longer have 110 miles, by the way. Of course, the road, you know, we're down to, I think there's 96 miles now, I think something like that, 96 miles, so.
Ours is paved, but it's, you know, it's just crumbling.
Yeah,
I, for one, am not able to walk from the bottom of the driveway all the way up to my home.
And that was one of the things when Ms. Dodd, she had mentioned it, the motor grader that we're going to have is going to have a ripper on it, as, you know, to take that old pavement the same way as Glade Hill or Glade Hollow does. It's got that partial pavement in it, and it dips and it goes, yeah. We can
Holes you know, when
rip
you
it out.
fall in, you have to turn your lights on to get back out, that sort of thing.
That's up to the board.
Well, what I was gonna say earlier, I'm sorry, go ahead. Go
To
ahead.
answer fixing your road, the board is not gonna be able to fix your road in a timely fashion. If VDOT's only interested in covering 518 feet, and then I'm half blind, but looking at that, I've drove up there, by the way. I've been all the way to Scott's house, and, been up there quite a bit, actually, and when, Campbell's was logging in there across the road from where you live at, I was up there quite a bit. But to start some kind of community HOA or some kind of fund, if you've got $10 and I got $20 and we trust whoever over here to handle the money, if you can get you some money and start patching it a little bit along yourself, that's your quickest fix. To depend on the government, the hoops that we have to jump through on the coal severance committee, it's a lot. And if VDOT's only willing to take 518 feet anyways, that's not gonna get you anywhere close to your house.
And that's about the easiest part.
So I need,
And you're not the only person like this. These roads are all over the county, and I don't know how they got here. You know, I guess it was good intentions, or we've got the money at the time, and now asphalt's 5 times what it cost when that road was built, probably. And so here we are, and nobody saved money from the time it was paved to today to replace it, and it was a private road. If it was a gravel road, it'd be a little easier. You just take a dozer or farm tractor and a grader, you could fix it. But it having that asphalt on it, it's gonna be a tough fix unless that ripper on that grader. And then you got a gravel road. Is all the neighbors gonna agree to have a gravel road versus having
No.
a pothole road? I mean,
If it was a
cause the
gravel
potholes aren't from bottom to top.
Yeah.
You know, they're in spots.
Well, there is one that is within that 500 that she was talking about at the very beginning, when you start up the hill, yeah.
And see, that's
But
one,
I don't think that if it was gravel, that a lot of the vehicles would be able to make it up.
It's so steep, you probably wouldn't.
right.
And, if, whatever that cold asphalt, that bagged asphalt, I mean, if you could throw a few
Cold
bags
mix.
in there and see if that would do anything, but it'd probably crack around it. I don't know what the fix is for that unless you start a HOA to fix your road. And all the neighbors would have to be involved in it, and you'd have to trust whoever was the president to handle the money. And those private roads like that's the toughest thing I deal with this board. Even though I complain about taxes, it's tough not to be sympathetic to people and them being able to get to their house. But then on the other hand, as what is the government supposed to do to private land, essentially?
we are willing to let the state or the county take over the road and it not be private anymore. I'm just crying for help.
I wish they would, I tell you.
Mr. Chair.
He did.
Mr. Chair, I'll address this to the board. I think there is an example out there that this board has done in the past. Is it Fairview Acres?
Fairview Acres, yes.
Fairview Acres. And so what they did, they all came together and the county did their thing and they are now paying back the county. Is that correct, how that's working?
Yes.
Okay.
But again, same way with the easements with you do the road, everybody has to agree, because you can't go 500 feet and now I have an easement. In the road, 100% of the property owners have to agree to bring it up to state standards and pay for it up, up front. We will pay for it, but we've added as a special assessment onto your real estate, so.
Okay. I'll get me some horses.
Sorry, I wish I had better news.
Okay. I know we're all really passionate about that issue. I will tell you, ma'am, Tara in her district, my little grandson stays there at a local house, and they, when that subdivision was built, there was some sort of amendments in the deeds that one person has stopped them from getting anything done out of 35 homes. 39, sorry, Miss Di. 39 homes, because I've looked everywhere, and we've had discussions with the circumstance and situations to try to get it rectified, and so that's an issue too. I mean, the way that I guess the deeds are wrote up and in the right-of-ways of easements for these kinds of situations, but I don't think we need to quit trying to figure out a means. I was going to bring it up to you earlier that I put a sheet out on our website that anybody that was affected, then this is just for our personal use, that anybody was affected by the floods, and I think we're going to get more storms, that we need to try to get a collective listing of this, that when we apply for this funding, either through the state or the federal government, could we use some of that money to be able to rectify some of these issues that was caused by the storms? So maybe we could look into that. I got a meeting Wednesday in regards to that, but you're welcome to go onto that site, fill out that form, address that your road is eroded and stuff like that, because I'm sure it didn't get any better with the storms.
As a matter of fact, the water would run down.
Yes. Well, I mean, I think we need to look at every opportunity, and if it's a bad situation, could actually turn in maybe to a good situation, and we might be able to utilize some of those fundings to be able to help all these areas. I've got roads in my districts. I mean, I've got bridges right now that, God love their heart, they can't even get across the bridge. I mean, and I did at one time have a church that stepped up because I had a gentleman that had cancer, and they couldn't get a rescue squad across the bridge. That's how bad it was. And that was back in the early 80s, I guess, when they had a storm or a flood, and FEMA came in and paid to have it fixed. Well, he was good at that time because he was healthy. But we all are aging. And when you start aging, you don't have the capacity and the well-being to be able to do what you were able to do years ago. So I understand. I'm very passionate about it like this. I think everybody on the board is very passionate about trying to figure out a way to help you and to help others. But I would encourage anybody to get out, fill out that form on the assessment, the need assessment, to see if we can't turn some of this in to try to get assistance with it. Okay? And if you need me to help you with that, I don't care a bit.
Thank you all.
Yeah. Anybody else?
Hey, Dave, can I just say one thing? You may want Will to check on something. I know you only do your assessments every 6 years, but the Board of Equalization over in Washington County is put in by the circuit court judge, and I just want to make sure you're on.
Yes, thank you for that. We are aware of that. We've already had a discussion on it. Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Lester, could you look up some of that stuff and maybe give the information to the board members before the next meeting maybe before our next meeting with the budget, I guess. Because I really do feel like this is something we might want to look into.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tara. Anybody else? Okay, is everybody's hearts and minds clear? I will adjourn this meeting. Thank you all. Thank everybody for coming.